Okay lang, one quick bladder run lang ako. Less than 1 minute.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to see you all today. Thank you for allotting time during your week to attend an ACE Commerce Philippines event. So I hope everyone's excited because we will be starting our webinar in a few minutes. All right, so hi everyone. Welcome to this week's ACE Commerce event. Thank you for joining us for today's exciting webinar. My name is Meryl and I'm a Community Associate of ACE Commerce Philippines, a cross-border and entrepreneur learning community. Before I call on our speaker for today's webinar, let me introduce to you guys as to what ACE Commerce is. So, Amazing Cross-Borders Entrepreneurs Commerce or ACE Commerce is a global entrepreneur community that started in Indonesia. ACE Commerce is for anyone interested in learning about building successful cross-border commerce by exploring opportunities in a wide range of commerce as well as having amazing insights and guidance from awesome founders and entrepreneurs. So we strive to bring in amazing founders, mentors, and entrepreneurs to talk to our community of aspiring successful entrepreneurs. And we strive to provide the best online resources and content to our community to help them towards entrepreneurial success. If you want to learn more about entrepreneurship and get updated for upcoming events, please like our Facebook page. And in order to connect with fellow entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, you can join our Telegram groups so you can network and ask advice from the community. So lastly, I'd like to go over a few items for those who would want to have their e-certificates. A participant must fill out the evaluation form during the end of the webinar. The link will be given at the end of the talk and will be open until 11:59 p.m. today. So you must send a proof of attendance at this webinar. It can just be a screenshot of this live and also a proof of your membership at our website. It can be a screenshot of your account on Ace Commerce Philippines website. So in case some of you guys are not a member yet, here's how you can sign up. All right, so I hope everyone here is already a member, but if you're not, you can sign up at our website after this webinar. Anyway, that's all from me because I know everyone is excited to meet our speaker. So let me introduce to you right now our main speaker for today, Mr. Rico Soberano, Head of Marketing of Q2 HR Solutions, a marketing strategist, professional speaker, digital marketing champ, business researcher, and L&D consultant. So this webinar is perfect for anyone interested in social media marketing, especially now that it's very relevant during the pandemic. So everyone, let us all welcome and give a round of applause to Mr. Rico Soberano. Hello po.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Mariel, for that warm and a very comprehensive introduction. So again, for those people who missed it, my name is Rico Soberano. I know some of you guys can see that my full name is actually flashed in YouTube, but please call me Rico. Medyo pag tinawag niyo ako Jose or Enrico, hindi ko kayo lilimunin. So again, thank you so much for ACE for inviting me to be part of this wonderful learning event. Okay, so let me just start this session by sharing my screen. Hold on. Lahat pala tayo, bagets, no? All right. Mary, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. All right. Sige. All right. So before we go on with the formal meat of the session for today, let me just introduce to you my company. So the company that I represent is Q2 HR Solutions. So I'm assuming that you guys are familiar with what HR is because you guys are business students and some of you already have their own small business. So we are a fully integrated HR company. We've been in the business for 20 years. And we've been serving local and global companies when it comes to their people-related challenges. So if your company or your future business needs some help on developing your people, or you need something that would address your people issues, then we are your go-to person. So again, to know more about Q2HR Solutions, you guys can visit our website. That's q2hrsolutions.com. So I guess my colleague will be chatting our website link in the chat box and in the YouTube chat box so that you guys can easily access it. All right. Okay. So let's go on to our agenda for this afternoon. So for this afternoon, there are three things that we will be covering. So first is I'm going to walk you through of how did the pandemic changes social media. and then followed by the value of social media marketing in 2022. And then later, I'll give you also an update of where social media is, or the social media landscape in the Philippines, so that hopefully we can create a discussion where we can explore possible opportunities given the data that I'll be presenting later. So are you guys ready? So can you please type one in the chat box or in the chat box in YouTube? Type one if you guys are ready. Sige. Ayan. Kasi nga hindi tayo masyado nakakapag-interact. Normally when we do sessions like this, it's really face-to-face and I can see immediate response. So I guess that's one of the challenges in the pandemic, and something that we have to learn to live by. Ayan, ang dami nag-one sa YouTube. Ayan. Iba, copy-paste na lang. All right. Okay. So, anyway, let me move on. So the title of our session today is Social Media Relevance in Marketing During the Pandemic. So before we go on to social media, I'm just curious, how did the pandemic change you? So I'm not expecting someone to talk, because of the challenges of doing this virtually. But just to share of how the pandemic affected me as a person. I used to weigh 230 pounds. And in prior to the pandemic, medyo mojako talaga ako, if you guys are familiar with the cartoon. Yeah. So, and then the pandemic forced me to change a lifestyle, change my lifestyle, something towards being more healthy. And with that, I was able to shed out half of the weight, and it created a habit towards that healthy lifestyle. So I guess the pandemic really changed not only us as individuals, it changed relationships, it changed businesses, and it changed all of us. And social media is no different. So now, as we go on with the session, let's try to examine how did the social media landscape and the climate change, and hopefully we can create something that is more relevant and responsive to the change that happened in this particular form of medium. Okay, so let's go on with social media. Paano ba nagkaiba, or ano ba ang mga pagbabago sa social media during the pandemic? So number one is the quarantine actually increased time spent on social media as well as social users worldwide. And what you're seeing right now is a global data and a local data of what happened in the social media landscape since the pandemic started. So here in this data, 11% of social media users worldwide increased from 2019 to 2021. So that 11% represents roughly around 3.4 billion to 3.7 billion users that increased all throughout the period of the pandemic. So imagine, kung magpapatuloy yung pandemic, I'm sure tataas pa ito. And just to add on that, 142 minutes daw ang global time spent ng bawat user on social media in 2021. So that's the average time spent. So kung i-divide natin, sige, kung i-divide natin ang 142 minutes, ilang days yon? Can I see the answer in YouTube chat or in so ilan? Wala na ako usap, pero 200 kayo nandito. So average of almost 6 days, di ba? So it means that a person globally spends an average of 6 days per month sa social media. And then in the Philippines, there is a total of 92.5 million users in the Philippines. And that's based on January 2022 data. So next, aside from that, quarantine created an impact on video consumption. So what does that mean? All right. So 80% year-on-year increase of media uploads since 2020. So since 2020, marami ang nag-upload ng mga video content, digital content, learning content. So maraming aspiring content creators since 2020, and it's compounding since then. And then 85% daw ang time increase of time spent by people watching videos. And in a survey done by HubSpot, 42% ang sabi nila, I watch more videos on social media in response to the question, how do you use social media differently now as a result of the pandemic? And what's good about the landscape of social media right now is that a lot of people thought that people go to social media not only to be entertained, but also to learn. In fact, social media becomes a catalyst or at least a tool in our efforts to do blended learning. So aside from that, the pandemic also affected the best times to post on socials. So there are best practices. I don't know if you guys, if any one of you already has an experience of doing social media management, but you see, as an effective social media manager, your goal is to identify what's the best time to post in different social media platforms depending on the brand that you represent. So in our case, sa Q2, ang best time to post namin based on our current data recently is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday pag Facebook at tuwing alas 9 ng gabi. And on LinkedIn, it's best to post Tuesday and Thursday at around 5:30 p.m. So that's based on our analytics. So prior to the pandemic, everyone's so random because not everyone is actually hooked in this social media channels. But what we're just saying here is that because of the pandemic, it affected the best times for us to post on our social media handles. Okay, another thing is that the pandemic shaped the most popular types of content. So sabi in 2020, roughly half of 42% of Gen Zers said they wanted content described as fun as opposed to romantic content and exciting content. Now, lahat naman tayo dito, Gen Zers. So what we're just saying is that since the pandemic, a lot of major consumers of digital content would like to go to social media to have fun and address their personal boredom. So everyone's so bored. So ayaw na nila ng stress masyado. That's why they opt to look for channels or medium kung saan mas magiging masaya sila. Kaya nga uso-uso yung mga sa TikTok may mga office serye or may mga short stories that was created on YouTube because people recognize the value of it and for their mental health because it ignites their happy hormones, no? Kaya patok na patok din yung mga challenges about yung mga dance challenges, yung mga song challenges because it ignites fun. So there. The number 5 is quarantine also sped up influencer marketing's popularity. And I think this is as a future social media manager or business owners, you guys have to look at this as a possible opportunity to grow your business because recently, when the pandemic started, brands actually recognize the value of influencers. And these are people who we can relate to. So these are ordinary people who has a platform to get across a specific message. So dito napapasok sina Kong TV, dito napapasok sina I don't know if you guys are familiar, sina Carlo Ople for sneakers, sina Mimiya if you guys are familiar because they're able to establish a certain connection to the market. And what makes it different is that they are able to create connection to many of us as opposed to pre-pandemic ang laging ginagawa ng media ay gumawa ng aspirational products for us to look for. Kaya karamihan ng mga brand ambassadors before during the pandemic ay mga artista because the media is pushing us to aspire for the product that these celebrities should present. However, right now, the landscape, the market actually push us to be more connecting, to look for someone who we can relate. That is why marami ng mga influencers ngayon. In fact, sa ahensya, kinakategorize nila yung mga influencers ng iba't ibang based on a particular niche. So halimbawa, sino ba ito? Si Carlo Ople, I mentioned about him. So ang nire-represent ng niche ay yung mga sneaker lovers, yung mga mahilig sa magic cards, yung mga mahilig sa mga luxury brands. Yun, he represents that. And si Small Laude represents the moms and even some Gen Zers who would like to have a sneak peek of what the elites look like. So yun. So that is why the influencer marketing segment is actually a good segment to explore if you would like to explore growth for your brand. Okay, aside from that, the pandemic also increased the need for community and new platforms are rising as a result. Now, I know you guys are familiar with some of or a lot of Facebook communities in Facebook, and these are all based on interest, di ba? And because of the pandemic pushed us to create a new form of community or new circle of friends dahil nga nahihirapan tayo maka-create dun sa dati nating barkada because of our inability to meet face to face. So because of the pandemic, it forced us to create a new type of community where we can share our own problems, where we can get some type of information, katulad nung nangyayari before face-to-face with our circle of friends. And right now, community is actually the best way to go if you would like to strengthen your brand. And how do you do that? You create interest or you create a quote-unquote cult in order to become brand ambassadors for your brand. Now, case in point, you guys are familiar with Home Buddies, I'm sure. And Home Buddies became a community for not only for wives and women who would like to do some upgrades for their houses, but it actually created a platform of all types of people who seeks improvement and share their best practice. So para siyang kaya nga ang tawag sa kanila ay mga mga kapitbahay. So mga kapitbahay yung tawag din sa member ng Home Buddies. And ang tawag din nila sa founder nung community na yun ng Home Buddies ay Mayora. So you see, this community became effective not only because it created connection among different people, but it created a new gateway, a new platform for us to position a new brand and new brands, new products, because you share the same interest. Okay, now, so just to recap, so we were able to tackle 6 things that affected, influenced social media during the pandemic. Now we are to the second part of this session where we'll talk about the value of social media marketing in 2022. Now, I don't want to be too technical about this, but this is how we do our marketing efforts in Q2. Di ba sinabi ko kanina na ang Q2 ay isang HR solutions company. So if you have problems with HR, with your people, you go to us. Now, during the pandemic, the business was challenged because our clients are also challenged. So we were also affected. And of course, we wanted to be relevant. We wanted to stay afloat and make ourselves committed to the promise that we made to our clients. No? So we thought of different ways how we can utilize social media or digital platforms to the services and to the commitment we have to our clients, which is to uplift their lives. Kasi yun yung commitment mantra namin sa Q2. So, ang naisip namin, we do flywheel marketing model. Kasi karamihan ng mga companies, they don't have any structure. Of course, they recognize it. They recognize the value of digital marketing to propel their business efforts. So they constantly post things. They created contents with no specific intention of what will happen at the end of the tunnel. No? And then what's bad about that approach is that it's hard to measure. You don't know if you have an impact yung mga efforts mo. And walang timeline din kung kailan mo ma-reap yung efforts mo because walang structure eh. You just post and advertise, etc., etc. So, inisip namin, paano namin magagamit ang social media para mag-propel yung business namin, para hindi kami maging katulad ng ibang negosyo na nagsara na or kailangan mag-lay off dahil because of their inability to generate business. So, in the back of our head, alam namin na okay yung digital media, pero ano pa yung pwede nating gawin para mag-create ng impact? So based on our research and because of our effort to become better and relevant to our customers, we were able to bump into this model. Ang tawag sa kanya ay yung flywheel marketing model. Ang sinasabi nitong flywheel marketing model from HubSpot, dapat daw ang intention ninyo or ng kahit sinong negosyo ay hindi lang gumawa o mag-generate ng business. Dapat all your marketing efforts, dapat continuous yung galaw. Kaya siya flywheel. Dapat may momentum. Di ba familiar kayo sa flywheel, di ba? Pag ang flywheel, gulong siya, and hindi mo kailangan laging pumidal. Kasi minsan, isang pedal mo, nakakailang ikot siya. And this is how you should approach your client in your business. Dapat, hindi ka lang nag-generate ng, nag-a-advertise, hindi ka lang nag-market to create new business. You have to know how to use your existing clients to generate more business. And that has always been the principle of our marketing efforts. So, para mag-create ng momentum. Sabi nga, di ba, dun sa isang research, I don't know if you guys are familiar, mas mahal daw ang maghanap ng bagong kliyente kaysa mag-maintain ng current kliyente. Kasi at the end of the day, itong mga existing client mo can actually be your brand ambassador to do some referrals for your business. And that has been the cornerstone of all our efforts. Now, this particular model has 3 segments, yung attract, engage, and delight. So, just to give everyone an overview, pag sinabi nating attract, yung approach mo sa marketing, gusto mo syempre, mahila mo sila sa lahat ng social touchpoints mo. So, this includes your social media channel. So, dapat gumawa ka ng relevant, engaging content para ma-attract mo sila. Next is to engage. So here in this particular component of marketing, you would like to create relationship with your customers. And this is going to be a collaboration effort of your sales team and the marketing team. So kakausapin mo sila, meron ka ng mga pinapagawa dun sa mga kliyente mo so that they can create a momentum para hindi sila mawawala sa iyo. Now, once you engage, you deliver the service, you try to delight them. Siyempre, may pinangako ka at the beginning of your engagement with your clients, di ba? So, gusto mo naman sila pasayahin. The last thing that you want to happen is that after creating a business with your new clients, mapapaso sila dahil hindi maganda yung customer servicing ninyo. So, you have to delight them. So, parang ice cream, di ba? You have to delight them. Why is it important? Because you want to create lasting relationship with them so that they become brand ambassadors, your brand ambassadors. So, iikot yon. So, hindi mo kailangan bumongga ng lahat ng social media, lahat ng OOH or you're familiar, mga out-of-home marketing efforts ninyo. Hindi nyo kailangan gumastos ng ganun because if you are able to cover all these components effectively, then you can create more business. And that's how we integrate it in our social media. Now, ano pa ang ginawa namin? So, alam nyo na in-incorporate namin yung flywheel marketing model dun sa social media handles namin. And because of that, we recognize and we realize na ang importansya pala ng social marketing, lalo na ngayon 2022, is that we have to maximize social media to build brand awareness. Second, we maximize social media to generate and nurture leads. When we talk about generation of leads, of course, we just don't want people looking at your page. We don't like people who just constantly like your page. We want people who will engage to our content. We want people who would patronize our brands in order to become brand ambassadors. And the only way you can do that is through nurturing them. Third is that we should be able to implement social listening in our social media channels. Now, bakit siya importante? Now, in social media, you don't just create a relationship with your audience. And you have to build trust. How do you build trust if you don't know how to listen to your audience? Now, what's good about social media is it becomes a two-way street. Hindi siya katulad ng other form of media na kung saan ang brand lang ang nakikipag-usap sa mga audience nila. Social media changed the game by creating a two-way communication where customers or prospects can actually immediately provide a feedback. And we can utilize that to our advantage. Next is connect social post opportunities. Now, I've mentioned about our how social media, how we should maximize social media by generating and nurturing leads. Now, it's important that your social media should be able to connect to social post opportunities. What does that mean? Now, I'm going to be a bit technical about this because according to research, social media can be fully utilized if we were able to integrate it with our existing tools. Now, anong mga existing tools, Rico, ang pwede namin i-connect dun sa mga social media namin? Meron tayong tinatawag na CRM or Customer Relationship Management Tools. Like for example, HubSpot, Salesforce, yung mga ganon, in order to maximize the impact of your lead generation, your advertising efforts. This way you can track all your efforts and create better connection to your audience. Next is measure marketing efforts. I mentioned about the value of social media and how it changed the the advertising landscape kung saan it becomes two-way street. And what's good about social media is that majority of digital platforms can be measured. And bakit siya importante? What's the impact of this? No? Bakit kailangan na-measure yung mga efforts natin, lalo na sa marketing? Kasi having a machinery to measure marketing efforts will allow you to measure the efficiency of your marketing effort. Let's just put it this way. Nasa school ka, karamihan sa inyo estudyante, pero pumapasok ka, nagsasubmit ka ng assignment, nagre-recite ka, gumagawa ka ng thesis, pero walang grading system. Bibigyan ka na lang randomly 90 Or paano ba grading system ngayon? 1, 4, 5. The next question that will pop in your head is, paano nyo na-compute to? Or worst is that hindi ka na mag-e-effort kahit na may pinapagawa sa'yo kasi random naman yung grading system. So, it will not push you to become better. And as future entrepreneurs or as existing business owners, all marketing efforts should be measured, or else mauubos yung pera mo at hindi mo matatrack kung saan napunta yung marketing spend mo. So that's a loss and as the start of the death of your business. Next is build brand authenticity. Why is it important to build brand authenticity in social media? I've mentioned about how the pandemic changed social media. And what not a lot of people realize is that social media bridges relationship. And during the pandemic affected the way we build relationship. And social media actually addressed that. And that is why when we go and consume content, we look for brands, we look for individuals, we look for influencers who we can relate. Paano ka makaka-relate kung hindi authentic yung product mo or kumbaga parang hindi ka if it doesn't resonate to you. Of course, the last thing that we want to happen is, or at least the last thing that we wanted to consume are things that is based on our preference. So case in point, I don't know if you've chanced upon the yung advertisement ni RC Cola, ni Orocan. Alam niyo ba yung Orocan, yung plastic na wala stick ba yun? Si Orocan, di ba? One of the magandang case study yan. The brand actually partnered with Google Advertising. You guys can look them up in LinkedIn, and they created this campaign. So ang copy nila sa Orocan ay parang sing ganda pero hindi sing mahal. So kumbaga parang it created a communication that would slap you on your face because it resonates to you. Kasi nga naman, ang Orocan lang daw ang plastic na acceptable. Other than Orocan, wala na. Kasi ayaw mo naman ng plastic na friends, ayaw mo naman ng plastic na kamag-anak. Pero ang Orocan lang daw ang pinaka-okay na brand na plastic na acceptable. So something like that. Because again, the goal the goal now, or at least yung galawan ngayon to create effective communication, especially in social media, is you have to connect, you have to be relatable. And the best way to become relatable is to create an authentic brand. All right? Okay. Next is drive thought leadership. Now, thought leadership is not a common term, but basically when we talk about thought leadership, it simply means that you become a champ to a particular segment or business. Kumbaga, ikaw yung pag sinabing, for example, sa larangan ng before, no? Sa larangan ng refrigerator or in today's age, no? Pag sinabi natin cellphone, ma-associate natin ang cellphone or leadership dun sa segment na yon ay ang iPhone. So they become thought leader on that particular segment, or to be specific, smartphone, because Apple is somewhat tantamount to brand leadership. So what social media does for brands, it creates an opportunity, a channel, a gateway for you to become who you want to become, to the extent of becoming a thought leader. Because it's everyone's game. Kumbaga, it created a platform na you can be who you want to be. So, yun ang kaganda sa social media. Another is grow your audience. Now, because of social media, we have so many ways for us to reach and grow our audience, depending on who you want to be as a brand. So, each social media channel represents a particular segment. So, for example, kung ikaw ay kung ikaw ay isang, kung ang business mo ay nagbebenta ka ng furniture, ng mga magagandang items, nagko-customize ka ng furniture, ang magandang channel na you can utilize, aside from obviously Facebook, because in the Philippines, that's the most used social media channel, Pinterest, Instagram, because these are interest-based social media channels, and most of the people there are ages 26 and above that normally has a more sa high disposable income. Kasi nga, gusto mo magbenta sa particular segment na to. So, yung mga mahilig sa magagandang bagay, you go to Pinterest, you go to Instagram, and then you sell your product there. So, that's how you grow your audience. So, next is that in social media, you can build a community. I mentioned earlier about the value of building community, not only to reach out to your customers, but also to create business. And then lastly, importance of social media is because it allows you to become top of mind of key people. Now, when we say top of mind of key people, it means that you are able to reach the ideal audience you wish to purchase for your brand or product. Because in social media, you can actually customize your audience. There are a lot of filters that you can utilize in order to be visible to your audience. Unlike before, nung walang social media, a lot of marketers are actually just using the traditional media like billboards, yung mga OOH, yung mga roving ads through buses, yung mga flyering, because ang kaibahan neto sa digital media is that these traditional media targets everyone. So, hindi mo alam kung sino ang kinakausap mo. And if you try to communicate to everyone, lumiliit din yung chances mo of creating a relationship. Because again, marketing means you have to create connection and relationship to your audience. So, kasi hindi mo naman i-consume ang particular content if you cannot relate to that. So, through social media, it created an opportunity for businesses to customize their audience. So I don't know if you guys are able to try na to create ads on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Meron dong mga drop-down filters that would allow you to segment the customers who you wish to see your product or service. So, yun. So, kaya importante ang social media. So, nandyan pa ba kayo? Guys? Nandyan pa? Still there? Sige nga, type 2 if you guys are still with me. Type 2. Type 2. Type 2. Hi, Alisa. Kaya ba? Still with me. Yan ang gusto ko sa mga makabagong kabataan. Alright. Yun, ayos. Okay, so let's talk about the social media landscape ngayon sa Philippines, ngayon 2022. Ano namang itsura ng social media? Now, later, we can talk about the opportunities we can explore if you wanted to utilize this particular platform for your business. And if you have questions, feel free to use the chat box, and then I'll try to answer it as best as I can. Okay, sorry. All right. So again, this is based on the Philippine data. So in Facebook, currently, this data is covering until Feb of this year in the Philippines. So dito sa Pilipinas, we have a total 83.8 million active users aged 18 to 65. And 53% of that active users are female. And then ang Facebook daw ay ang most visited website sa Philippines. And ang average user time spent per visit sa Facebook across all this age bracket is 14.4 minutes. And ang largest user group daw, tayo ang largest user age group 18 to 24. Followed by age group of 25 to 34. And then on the tail end, yung 35 to 44. So, now, if we look at Facebook, basically we can consider this as our universal audience because everyone is actually here. You guys agree? Ang Facebook, kaya kumbaga parang if you want to tell everyone about your life, you use Facebook because a lot of Filipinos, almost all Filipinos are actually here. That's why you can utilize Facebook if you want to build a community because everyone is practically here. However, ang challenge, since everyone is here, all brands are actually competing head-to-head on this one. So kumbaga parang lahat ng negosyo, lahat ng small businesses, even big conglomerates are actually here. So ang hirap ma-create ng presence. However, recently, Facebook created this business suite where you can actually further customize your advertising efforts. Kumbaga, this is on top of yung normal boost when you do some postings. No? It's business ads, Facebook business ad suite. So lahat ng mga interest that you can think of that is relatable to your brand, ino-offer nung particular functionality ng Facebook. So ako, I still recognize the value of Facebook, especially for small medium business, but you can reach out, you utilize Facebook rather if you wanted to create community because pretty much it becomes a tool for us to log our preference or interests. So, yan ang Facebook. Now, ang humahabol sa Facebook ay ang paborito ng mga kabataan, nating mga kabataan, ang TikTok. Now, TikTok started or at least started even before the pandemic, but it created a phenomenal growth as a social media channel when the pandemic started. And in fact, today, Philippines has a total number of active users of 35.96 million. And when we talk about active users, hindi lang ito yung basta may account. Pag sinabing active user, ito yung pumupunta sa particular social media channel na to at least isang beses. So imagine yung dami ng tao na pumupunta dito. And this data just started, is just until Feb. So mas malamang to date, mas marami pa yan. Now, also based on the research, 65% of TikTok ad audience, mga babae. And as of Feb 2022, it is the 12th most visited website in the Philippines. And ang average user time per visit daw ng isang user is 850 minutes per month. Apologies, this is per month. So ito ang sinusunog nating number of minutes per month sa paggamit ng TikTok. Age group, 18 to 24. Largest, yan yung largest. Followed by age 25 to 34. Tail end is 35 to 44. Now, what's good about TikTok is that it becomes an entertainment channel for Gen Zers. Now, if you're a brand, something that resonates to this particular age range, ito yung channel mo. Kasi slowly, as karamihan ng sinasabi, pagka medyo may edad ka na, sa Facebook ka nagpupunta. But if you want to be entertained at medyo katulad ka natin, mga kabataan, you go to TikTok. And then if you are a new business, you go to TikTok, utilize TikTok. Familiar kayo dun sa mga term na FYP, EduTalk. These are terms being used by TikTok. And what's good about TikTok is that it is driven not only by your interest, but it is driven by influencers. If you notice, bihirang-bihira yung mga random ads when you do your FYP. Hindi katulad sa Facebook na left and right may mga sponsored tabs, may mga crawlers na tinatawag, or merong mga banner ads na lumalabas. Sa TikTok, bihira. Normally at the beginning lang siya or panaka-naka in the middle during your FYP experience. Because in order to maximize TikTok, you have to partner with an influencer. The influencer will serve as your vehicle to connect to your rightful audience. So, alam niyo naman kung sino-sino mga sikat sa TikTok ngayon, di ba? So, nandyan sina mga Silly Queen, sina Lando G, nandyan sina Ayin Bernos, sino pa ba? Si Titas of Manila, nandun din. So, mga ganon. Because, syempre, nalalaman nyo na kung ano yung mga interest ko. So, ayun. So, that's how you can utilize TikTok. So, if you have a business and you want to target this particular age bracket, TikTok is the best way to go. Next is LinkedIn. Now, sa Philippines, ang LinkedIn active users daw ay 11 million. And this is based on age 18 to 65. Now, 53.8% ng LinkedIn audience ay mga babae. And then ang age bracket ng mga largest user group ng LinkedIn ay 46 to 55, followed by 36 to 45 and 56 plus. So ito na yung mga tatay natin. So medyo may mga kaidara na ang users ng LinkedIn. And ang normal audience demographics ng mga nandito ay mga high school. Ang pinakamataas dito yung college graduates at saka yung mga nag-acquire ng further studies. So 50% daw ang audience demographics nito. So how can you utilize LinkedIn for your business or future business? Normally, LinkedIn is a space for HR, business leaders, because it becomes a safe place wherein they can post ads, post corporate concerns and issues. And normally businesses, brands use this space in order to create connections. And when we talk about connections here, business connections. That's why the way we do ads nga or reach out to our audience sa LinkedIn, hindi ka basta-basta makakapag-message randomly. You have to have a certain connection. And if you want to reach out to a specific person, if you don't have any connection, you have to pay a certain premium in order to reach out to them. And kaya medyo kamahalan ang mag-post sa LinkedIn. Now, kailan ka pupunta sa LinkedIn? You do reach out to LinkedIn if you want to look for a job, you want to look for internship, or you want to know who's the owner of this particular business because you want to create a relationship with him because you feel that he's the best person to purchase your service or your product, you go to LinkedIn because it's a big boys channel rather. So, yun. Next is yung Instagram. Now, before I go on to the details, let me just share with you my thoughts on Instagram as a social media marketer. For me, Instagram becomes, paano ko ba sabihin to? Dati kasi when TikTok is not yet here, when social media channels are limited to Twitter, Facebook, and the likes, Instagram is a good space to present your interest. However, recently, hindi ko na siya ma-define because ang dami ng options. And then Instagram currently opened its new functionality, yung Instagram Reels, because I guess they're trying to be relevant. They wanted to be responsive to the demand of the consumers, that a lot of us wanted to consume video type content. So kaya siguro nagaganon siya. But medyo nahihirapan ako personally and honestly to define who goes to Instagram. Kasi before, para siyang Pinterest. Maganda yung mga filters niya. This is where you present para siyang photo album, virtual photo album. But sabi nila, ang Instagram daw ay isang social media channel where dedicated for middle-aged users to showcase an alternative side of their personality that is driven by their interest. So normally you don't talk business on Instagram. You talk interests, preferences, the other side of the person, a middle-aged person in Instagram. So if you have a vacation or they're showcasing your child, if you would like to showcase where you're eating, you don't post it on LinkedIn. You don't post it on Facebook that much. You post it on Instagram. Because aside from being a channel to document your special activities or your static activities, kasi nga photos lang siya karamihan, it becomes also your a social media channel to document the things that you love to do. So, yun yung sabi nila. So, total number of active users of Instagram is 18.65 million. 64% of users of Instagram ay mga babae. It's the 9th most visited website in the Philippines. And user average time per visit is 7.5 minutes. And then age group, yun nga, nabanggit ko na middle age ang karamihan na nandito, naglalagay. 25 to 34. So mga kuya't ate na natin to. Alright? And then lastly, we have Twitter. Now, I'm just concerned about the numbers here because for a time, Twitter has become its numbers declining in the Philippines. However, recently, it created an exponential growth, probably because of the election. Because Twitter is a channel where you can freely express your cognitive thoughts, since this is primarily driven by words and kumbaga, ang dali rin kasi mag-create ng account. So, yung total number of active users ng Twitter ay 10.5 million as of Feb 2022. Average time spent, 13.3 minutes. So medyo matagal because nagbabasa kasi dito. And then this is the 4th most visited website in the Philippines. Again, Twitter is also a platform for middle-aged, medyo mature yung mga audience dito. And a lot of people uses Twitter because they want to get news, they want to be entertained, they want to keep contact with friends, follow brand and companies, and strengthen personal network. So I know a couple of people who go to Twitter to get some news, identify what's trending. So yeah, it's also a platform if you would like to reach out to a very mature audience who is into medyo, parang masabihin, ang audience mo sa Twitter, very cerebral. So if your product, if you want to reach this particular demographics, yung ganong profile, normally pag sa Twitter kasi, it can be utilized not only by retail brands or products. More so, it can be utilized by yung mga products, yung mga B2B, yung mga business-to-business type of products and services. So, maganda siyang channel and platform to utilize. There, that's it for these social media channels. Now, just to wrap up, and before I let everyone go, remember, in order to win as a business, as a social media marketer, or an aspiring entrepreneur in these challenging times in social media, you have to listen to your customers to gauge their comfort level. Again, social media requires you to build relationship. And that is the name of the tune of all types of business. You have to build relationship. And that is what the pandemic constrained us to do. And social media is bridging that particular gap. So you have to utilize social media in order to create relationship to your customers. Next is refresh your brand to align with changing customer priorities. When we talk about refreshing brand, is that all brands should be able to create a certain level of uh, uh, connection to your audience. Hindi na uso yung ito yung brand, ikaw yung audience, you aspire for the brand. Ngayon, ang brand na dapat ang lumalapit, nagpapakilala sa audience, sa rightful audience nila. That way, you create that bond that would create more business for you. You have to be relatable. Kaya nga, nauuso, di ba yung sabi ko kanina, nauuso yung mga influencers. Dati, para magkaroon ka ng influence, para maging model ka, kailangan gwapo, mestizo, artistahin ka. Ngayon, hindi na. Ang labanan, kailangan relatable ka. Same goes with the brand. You have to be relatable. Hindi na uso yung mga stereotypes natin before. So, there. Next is, you have to strive to be shareable. And I'd like you guys to look at the term shareable. Now, when you create content, you reach out your content, you have to make sure that they do not only consume it. You have to aim to reach out to your customer, create connection, and be able to push them enough for them to share your content. That way, you create a momentum for your business. Hindi ka lang hindi mo lang sila kumbaga pinapakain for lack of a better term of what you want to say about your business. You allow them to become part of your business, and that becomes enough for them to become your brand ambassador. Now, and how do you become shareable? How do you create shareable content? Now, sabi ni Twitter, ang definition daw ng shareable content ay tatlong bagay. Ang sabi, in order to create shareable content, you have to you have to make sure that your contents are useful. At paano yun? Ibig sabihin, you have to create value. Make sure that your brand's products is the way you create, the way you communicate will be insightful and valuable for them, your audience. Next, dapat syempre entertaining. Of course, we are already fatigued with what's happening right now in our environment. And the last thing that we want to happen when we're consuming content is to add more fatigue to us. Ayaw mo nang ma-stress. So you want to be entertained. So aside from making sure that you communicate to them by citing your value and become relevant to your audience, make sure that you deliver the message with value of entertainment. And then lastly, you should be inspiring. And pag sinabi natin inspiring, after consuming your content, dapat daw ang feeling or after effect ng consumer mo when they consume your content, dapat uplifted. Feel good. Hindi yung mabubwisit ka masyado. Diba? So, yun. That's it. Pretty much it. Okay. So, If you have questions, feel free to add it in YouTube. And before I let you go, can I just have a special ask to our audience, Meryl? Can you guys, ayan, mga classmates, no? If you guys are looking for internship programs, if you're looking for a job and you know someone who's looking for a job, we have a lot of opportunities waiting for you. You can just simply visit us in our social media channels that will be flashed in the chat box on Facebook. I have my colleague Well, who will be posting the links of our social media channels. Hopefully, before the end of this session, pwede nyo naman pakilike ang aming Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. Ayan, salamat Mark Joseph. Ayan. Well, can you add our social media channels, please? Ayun, yung mga nagagano. Uy. Uy, can you guys type in done pag na-like nyo na yung social media channel natin? Can you guys type done kung okay na? Abusuhin ko na kayo. So guys, we have a lot of opportunities waiting for you. In fact, just to share, Meryl, we already, to date, if I'm not mistaken, we have more than 500 interns that worked with us. And currently, we have 65 interns. And we call our interns classmates with a Q. Kasi nga, ang tawag sa mga employees ng Q2 querytans. Ang hirap lang banggitin sa una, pero yeah, we're querytans. And then ang tawag sa aming internship program ay classroom with a Q. So sabi nila natutuwa daw sila sa internship program namin. So if you guys are young and looking for internship program, you guys can visit our website, check out our social media channels, and then try to experience the way we uplift lives. Kasi yun yung aming mantra. Wow! Salamat, Jomar Belongkil, RJ Beher. Salamat sa mga padan. Ayan. Prerequisite ng pagre-release ng certificate. Pagre-release ng certificate ay ang pagla-like ng social media channel namin. Hindi, joke lang. Ayan. Salamat, Dindi. Melody, salamat. Ayan. Yun, sa LinkedIn, like nyo rin kung may account kayo. Sa Facebook, find nyo lang kami, Q2HR Solutions. All right. So I guess this is the part where we're going to do some question and answers, right? So just keep checking our website, our social media channels. I'll stop sharing na, Meryl.
Okay.
Ayan.
So, thank you so much for that insightful talk. As someone interested in how social media marketing works, I could apply the tips and lessons learned today when I begin a similar career in the future. So now, before we move on to our Q&A segment, let's have a quick 1-minute break before we continue our Q&A. Thank you. Okay, so I know a lot of you are looking forward to ask questions to know more about the topic today. So we are now opening the floor to some questions. So Eliza will be the one to address you during the Q&A portion. So please send your questions through the live chat box there on YouTube. So hi Eliza.
Hi everyone, I'm also a community associate of Ace Commerce and I'll be the host for today's Q&A. I know you guys have a lot in mind, so please do not hesitate to send your questions in the YouTube chat box. So Sir Rico, how do you, before that, some of our audience sent questions earlier and they're curious to know, how do you personally maximize social media in your career as the head of marketing of an HR and OD consulting company? Like, how is it different?
Okay. Something I learned all throughout the years I've been working as a marketing person, especially in order to become effective in social media, is to never sell. Um, right now, a lot of people don't want to reach out to brands, companies para mapagbentahan lang. Social media in general should be a space for you to learn, to be entertained. And the last thing that you want to be experienced ay mabentahan ka. And as a digital marketing person, we have to live with that. And if you would like to get across a message, utilize and you have to be creative to create or send your message without actually selling. Gone are the days that we do marketing and tell everyone na, hey, go to our brand, go to our product, buy us and get X number of free items. Hindi, it doesn't work today. People consume in digital contents because they are interested on that, because they are entertained, they find it relevant to them, and then and the last thing that they want to happen ay mabudol at mapagbentahan. So they don't want to go to that. So going back to your question, how do you maximize social media channel? If you become a social digital marketing person, never sell. Uh, and just to share another thing, no, ang daldal ko. The book I read recently, it's about story brand building by Donald Miller. You guys can check it out. Ang sinasabi niya, when we reach out to our customers, regardless of what kind of platform, always remember na ang bida sa kwento mo ay hindi yung brand, kundi yung customer mo. So when you create marketing strategies, when you reach out to your customer, stop thinking about you first. Think about your customers. And when we say you think about your customers, identify what problem they are experiencing, and from there you try to come up with something to address that particular problem. And that becomes your starting point in creating a creative communication to send out your message without actually saying. So yun.
All right. So the main thing is that the audience should not feel that the
Na
brand just
binibentahan sila.
that to profit from them.
Mm-mm.
So of course, since you are in the field of marketing, you've had to have campaigns, I'm assuming. So can you tell us about a time where in your campaign did not deliver your expected results? Like how were you able to bounce back with that?
Okay. Prior joining to Q2, way back when I was young, and during the digital marketing era, kung saan nagta-transition pa lang ang mga businesses and recognizing the value of digital media, I was working with one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, distributor of motorcycle in the Philippines. Marami naman siguro nagmamotor dito. No? But and one of the things that or one of the challenges we experienced at that time was we've been marketing our products consistently in all forms except that in digital. And ang nangyari ay tumataas yung benta namin. But the downside ay, the more tumataas ang benta namin ng mga motorsiklo, tumataas din ang losses namin. How did it happen? Tumataas din yung mga nagpapahatak, yung mga repossessed units. Because a lot of people are not able to sustain the loan they made when they purchased the motorcycle. So, if we continue that way, the more we sell our product, dahil nga okay yung mga marketing namin, bonggang-bongga, napapabenta, kahit to the extent that kahit wala kang interest sa motor, bibili ka. Kasi nabonggahan nga namin yung marketing effort namin. Kaso, ang nangyayari, tumataas ang benta namin, tumataas din ang losses namin. So we have to step back and try to understand and research what can we do in order to address that issue. Now, one of the things that we did was, aside from the fact that we have to recognize that this is a marketing flow and a business flow, so we did a couple of research. So one of the findings and realization that we had was, dapat maghanap tayo ng tamang market or tamang tao, group of people who would purchase our product. Because at the time, the general idea was to sell motorcycle to everybody, regardless of where you are in the economic bracket of things. No? From A to Z, bebentahan namin. And it took a toll on us. So, kailangan maging strategic tayo. Sino lang ba dapat ang bentahan namin? So, we did a couple of research. Now, one of the things that was we were able to find out was a new market. Yung market ng mga women riders. At the time, hindi pa common yung mga babaeng nagsasakay, sumasakay sa motorsiklo. And ang hypothesis namin noon ay, women don't ride motorcycle because they're afraid. But when we did our research, women don't ride motorcycle not because they're afraid, but because they don't know how to ride a motorcycle. So they lack knowledge. So we latch on that, we ride on that, we rode on that rather, and we created a campaign. No, anong campaign namin? Learn to ride a program. Learn to ride a motorcycle program. So what we did was, we created a learning program. Meron kasi kami mga 500 branches at that time. And ang ginawa namin, aside from making it a store, we made it also as a school. So ang campaign namin ay, sa halagang 1,500 pesos, pwede ka nang mag-enroll para matuto mag-motorsiklo. At after ng 5-day program mo, yung 1,500 mo, pwede mong i-offset para sa down payment ng motorsiklo. So anyone who don't know how to ride a motorcycle can actually enroll there. Now, aside from that, meron din kaming tawag dito, na-discover din namin yung OFW market. Dito na papasok yung digital media element. Kasi at the time, when I was leading the marketing team, meron yung budget distribution namin, meron kaming na-allocate sa print. Now, feeling ko, hindi na masyadong ma-print yung pag-consume ng mga tao ng media. So, it's actually dying. So, we had to divert our budget. And one of the things that we feel that would work on us is to strengthen our digital platforms and reach out to OFWs. Yung mga OFWs, ito yung may mga high disposable income. Meaning, ito yung may mga kakayahan na bumili ng motorsiklo at sigurado kang hindi sila magpapahatak ng motorsiklo. And so what we did was, we've strengthened our website. We made it highly dynamic. We made things easy for these OFWs to purchase a motorcycle. Kasi in our head, no, yung ginagawa namin yung effort na yun, di ba pag OFW ka, gusto mo mag-gratify or mabigyan agad yung pamilya mo dito sa Pilipinas ng mga aspirational products. So ano ba ang best aspirational product? Yun yung mga form of transportation. So lalo na kung bago kang OFW, hindi ka naman agad makakabili ng kotse, pero pwede kang bumili agad ng motorsiklo. So create kami ng campaign, sinistrengthen namin yung social media namin. So ang mangyayari, hindi pa uso yung Shopee, Lazada noong 2012 eh. So we made it easy for OFWs to purchase a motorcycle, and then their family can easily pick up the motorcycle anywhere in our branches. So kung taga-vegan ka, Cavite, pwede mong pick upin yung motor doon. Binili ng pinsan mo or kamag-anak mo overseas para sa'yo. So, yun, these things, no? So, I guess failure in creating campaign is kind of normal because from failure you learn as just like any others. And I think and I believe that failure is better than not trying kasi nga lalo na when you're doing marketing, it's a trial and error process. You have to do it. And if it's wrong, you pause, calibrate, and do it again. So, yun. So, those things, yun yung mga examples. Hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, you did. So I really love how you were able to try it with women Ws. But a question from YouTube is asking, so they're a new brand, assuming they're a new business. So they're asking, how can you figure out how to address your target audience as a new brand? So you've mentioned with the motorcycles, but this time it's a particularly new brand.
So you're a new brand and you would like to address, you want to know who your audience is. Tama ba? Gusto mong malaman kung sino yung audience mo. Okay, here's the thing. When you create your brand, dapat from the onset, alam mo na kung kanino mo siya ibebenta. Because an effective brand should always be relevant to the people who wish to purchase your product. Kasi nga, sinasabi ko kanina, di ba, an effective brand should be able to address a specific problem. So, dun sa premise pa lang na yun, dapat alam mo na kung sino yung audience mo. Or else, no, mangyayari sa'yo, magbebenta ka sa lahat. And that's the pitfall of a lot of marketing people, is to market to everyone because not everyone is your potential audience. Because not everyone will like you. Kahit for example, your brand is tawag dito, Yossi, sigarilyo. Hindi naman lahat nagsisigarilyo. That's a fact. Pangalawa, hindi lahat ng nagsisigarilyo gusto ang menthol. Hindi lahat ng nagsisigarilyo gusto tobacco-based. Yung iba, water-based. Kaya nga may mga vape o may mga e-cigarette. Yung mga ganun. So may mga subcategory yan. So, kasi kapag nag-create ka ng brand and doon mo palang hahanapin yung audience mo, mauubusan ka ng budget, mauubusan ka ng resources kasi you'll spend it to everyone. As opposed to, alam mo na yung brand mo, alam mo na kung kanino mo bibenta, nakafocus ka lang doon. So, you get what I mean? So, it's not, the process should never be brand and then you find a customer. You find a customer, dapat the process ay, you find an audience, identify their problem, and then create a brand. Ganun yung ideal thought process. I mean, para sa akin.
All right. Thank you for that insight. So moving on to for this question from YouTube, it's digital selling naman. So they're asking, since digital selling is the new channel to advertise businesses, is it still significant to focus on traditional selling? So, for example, you're well versed in traditional selling. Is it still how would you balance that for their case?
Okay. I don't know sa inyo kung may subject kayo, 'di ba? But in a business school, 'di ba, merong subject na integrated marketing communication. As a marketing person, I believe that there is no particular medium that can stand on its own. So, kumbaga, always you have all these mediums to work together. In terms of distribution of effort, doon na papasok yung research mo. Kung mas heavy ka ba sa traditional, sa digital. Kasi again, you are trying to be responsive to the profile of your audience. So you don't want to sell to everyone again, but rather you would like to be relevant and responsive to the type of audience you would like to reach. So it's not a matter of choosing a medium per se, but it's a matter of making sure that these platforms, these medium will work together. So, ang dapat siguro tanong ay paano ang distribution ng effort, ng budget per per medium, no? Kung traditional ba or sa digital ba. Ang sagot dyan ay depende kung sino ang gusto mong kausapin. So kung halimbawa, ikaw ay nagbebenta ng mga pangmasahe, efficacy, siyempre nag-mention ako ng brand, but for example, for the sake of discussion, efficacent oil, mga panghilot sa loan pass, yung mga ganun. You can still utilize social media in general, but normally kasi may mga higher age bracket ito. So, saan ba sila madalas naglalagay? So, karamihan nagko-commute, pwede. Or sa dyaryo, nagbabasa pa rin sila ng dyaryo because they prefer the smell of the newspaper. Or minsan pwedeng flyering sa simbahan, mga ganun. So, you get what I mean? It's a matter of identifying and understanding your audience. So, that's how it should be.
So really you have to really understand your audience. But here's another situation from someone on YouTube. So yun nga, you were able to understand, you're trying to understand your audience, but they weren't able to get the message that you were trying to tell them. So they're asking, how do you handle negative comments about your products on social media?
Okay. How do you manage negative comments? You do not, okay. The way, based on experience, no, when there is a negative comment, regardless of what it is, you address it head on, but you do not create discussion on that particular channel. You pay them and create discussion on a private channel. Meaning, for example, you have a brand and may negative comment, you address that, you recognize that, and then you would like to guide the person to create better discussion offline para mas ma-address mo siyang maigi. Because if you create discussion dun sa channel mo, it will just create nonsensical impression that can cause damage to your brand equity. So again, that's how I'm gonna deal with it. Now, some businesses prefer to close or disable their comment section, their review section. But again, like I mentioned earlier, in order to be successful in social media, you have to be relatable, you have to be authentic, and disabling those would not be faithful to that idea. Kasi hindi ka, paano ka nakaka-gather ng feedback? So that's how I manage negative comments. You address it head on, strategically, and then just deal with it as it is. Kasi kung halimbawa ikaw ay new brand at hindi naman may iwasan na merong mga negative delivery, negative services na encounter ka, it's part of your growth as a brand. Minsan, mas maganda pa na pagpatuloy mo lang yung ginagawa mo, you evolve, because you will create ambassadors. Matatabunan na rin yung mga negative comments na ganun. So that's how I manage it.
All right, that's actually very good advice. And we could really see that you're very professional and knowledgeable about everything in social media marketing. So another question, which is the last one, and this is about you personally.
Mhm.
What inspired you to pursue a career in social media marketing in an HR and OD consulting company, which is the Q2? What are frequent challenges you encounter often in your career?
Okay. Sige, what inspired me to become a marketing person in a HR-related company? Let me just tell you about my background. So I took up behavioral science when I was in college, but I never got the chance to practice it. So normally when you do behavioral science, you are into HR. But faith brought me to do marketing, and that has been my thing ever since. I've been doing marketing for different IT companies, like I mentioned, retail companies, and a lot. And what's good about Q2 is that it allowed me to go back to my roots. And when I did marketing for Q2, it wasn't as if I started from scratch in terms of understanding the value that they were trying to get across. Because again, it's like just being refreshed on what I learned when I was in college. And uh and aside from that, I was inspired with the vision. And this is not a joke. I mentioned earlier about the advocacy of the company of uplifting lives. And that has been the company's mantra, because we're just not here to create business. We're here because we wanted to create a change, a positive change to the people that we hire, to the people that we serve, and then to the people that we would like to create a relationship with. And that two thing actually made me decide to be part of this very dynamic team. Kaya nga, natutuwa ako when I chance upon to Gen Zers who are actually enjoying their stay with us as an intern. Kasi para daw sila nasa Google. Mga bagets daw din yung mga kasama nila. And we have actually a lot of activities ready to everyone to consume and enjoy. And that's actually the culture that we wanted to get across, so that we are fun, dynamic, and we are an organization who pushes learning. So, yon. So, there. That's it.
Alright. So we really hope that everyone learned a lot and are willing to take opportunities in Q2. And that's all we have to do. I'm giving the floor back to Meryl. Thank you so much.
Okay, so once again, thank you so much for answering the questions and for the insightful and informative talk you have shared with me and everyone in this live stream. So with that, we want to award this certificate of appreciation to you for being our speaker for today. So Ace Commerce Philippines awards this certificate of appreciation to Mr. Jose Enrico Soberano or Mr. Rico Soberano for imparting their valuable insights and inspirations at the Ace Commerce webinar entitled Social Media Relevance and Marketing During the Pandemic. So given on this day, April 29, 2022, Manila, Philippines. Signed by France Yuwono, CEO founder of Asia Commerce. Thank you again, Mr. Soberano, for being such an inspiration to me and to the people of today's event. We really appreciate you allotting time for us, and it was truly an honor to have you speak for us today. Before you go, is there anything else you want to promote or where our audience can reach you?
So again, I would like to encourage everyone to check out our website and our social media channels for the latest updates on careers, and also utilize our website because we have a blog where you guys can check out some entries that can inspire you, entertain, and hopefully can give you a lot of learning about how you can improve further your careers or your business. So again, that's just it. Maraming salamat on behalf of Q2 and my team well and Joy in the background. Like to thank you, Patrice, Meryl, Eliza, Gwyneth, for inviting me. And I'm looking forward to the next opportunity for us to do this kind of session again.
All right. So for our following announcement, our weekly
All right.
webinars will continue next week. We hope to see you again for our webinar entitled Molding, sorry for the noise, Molding Your Business from Scratch, led by John Kevin Cagitla, the founder and president of Javel Materials and Services Inc. You can RSVP on our website for these events. Again, thank you and see you guys next week, same day and same time. Finally, for the last reminder for the participants who would want an e-certificate, please do not forget to create an ACE Commerce account through our website acecommerce.org as we give announcement for future webinars where you can RSVP. Please do not forget to answer the e-certificate form that will be sent at the chat box. Friendly reminder that we will strictly no longer entertain concerns about e-certificate and create e-certificates to those who failed to answer the Google form. Please avoid making errors in putting your emails. Incorrect emails will no longer be our responsibility. So if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship and get updated for upcoming events, please like our Facebook page. And in order to connect with fellow entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, you can join our Telegram groups so you can network and ask advice from the community. So that's it. Remember that the evaluation form will be closed at 11:59 p.m. today. For concerns, kindly message us on our Facebook page or on our Telegram channel. Thank you again, everyone, for joining our event today, and we hope to see you again in our next event on April 29, Friday, 4 p.m. Alright.